Good afternoon. I have that it is 1:01, and I think we probably still have a few people joining us, but I want to go ahead and be respectful of our time. My name is Wes Kerr. I'm with Connected Nation. Our focus as a nonprofit is to identify innovative solutions to expand access, adoption, and use of high-speed internet and its related technologies to all people. Today, we are looking at taking a look at the many ways that CN has worked, and is working in the education space to support students through technology. Real quick, a couple of things before we get started. This is being recorded, and a link will be supplied to those who have registered and joined post meeting, probably within a couple of days. And please submit your questions. Use the Q&A function that's at the bottom of your screen to submit questions. We'll do our best to answer questions throughout the webinar today, but in case we don't get to your question, that'll allow us to make sure we've got a record of that and we can follow up with you. To kick us off today, I'm joined by Heather Gate. She's the Executive Vice President of Digital Inclusion. Heather and I have worked together for over 17 years, and much of that time, Heather has been engaged in education and digital literacy programming. Thanks for joining us today, Heather.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Heather, we're going to start off today with just kind of throwing it back. So Connected Nation was essentially started as Connect Kentucky many years ago, a couple of decades ago. Actually, we just celebrated our 20th last year, and as a part of that, much of our work started with what we called our ECS program, which was a community engagement program that went into every community in the state of Kentucky. And as a part of that, we worked with different stakeholders throughout those communities. What we found to be one of the most important of those stakeholders were our K-12 schools, their leadership, and ultimately the students and parents that were engaged with those schools. Would you mind to kind of dive into some of the programming that we started with there?
Yeah, thank you very much, Wes. Great start there. As you mentioned, working with local communities, creating partnerships, and just planning as a collective is in Connected Nations DNA. And the education sector has played a very big role with school districts and people that provide after-school education have been critical part of our work. So going back 20 years, we have really sort of advocated for technology in the classroom, but also at home. We recognized the homework gap long before the term homework gap was coined. We recognized that there was a need to create a level playing field for doing homework for children that came from households that couldn't necessarily afford it or didn't have access to devices that meet a student needs. So we created a program that was called No Child Left Offline. And through this program, we refurbish computers and donated them to families on the free reduced lunch program, starting off in Appalachia. And mind you, these are some of the most economically challenged counties in the country. And so the way the program worked was that we received donations from the state of Kentucky. We took those computers, instead of, throwing those computers away, we took them through the Kentucky Corrections Industries. And so we had inmates, learn a skill in terms of refurbishing a computer, and also just the idea of them giving back to their community was a great project for them. And once these computers were refurbished, then we would take them over to Eastern Kentucky, where the counties are. And we donated them through the school system to kids on the free and reduced lunch program. We did that with middle schools. And a lot of these counties, we gave computers to every 6th and 7th grader in the whole county, because a lot of these counties, every student was on the free and reduced lunch program. And so the picture that you see here, and I like to sort of share history through images, because there's no better storytelling than to show what we've been through. But this is a picture from one of our first donations. As you can see, the size of the monitor. That was a long time ago. But what was important is that this is the first time a lot of these families had a computer in the household. And this enabled the students to be able to actually go home and do homework and do research and do the things that they needed to do.
Yeah, Heather, you and I have joked a little bit, but it's this image, these students are probably in their mid to late 20s now. And
Yes.
it's neat. We don't think about it often, but as we look at images and think through this, the history that exists there, and like you said, just I guess a little bit of a technological history as we go through
Yes.
some of these images today. That said, history, Heather, the NCLO wasn't only about devices and donations, but really it was about bringing the community together to celebrate, what was essentially a very pivotal opportunity for families. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, probably my favorite part of the program was the community. We wanted these programs to be a community program. As you said, the idea behind it was not only about donating computers. It was really about bringing the community together and having a discussion about the power of technology. And so what we would do, Ryan, if you could move to the next image, is that along with the devices, we would do a community event where parents could come and pick up the device. But during these events, we would have everybody gathered in the gym. As you can see in this picture, what you can see there in the background, you can see the Kentucky governor from that time and some community leaders, district technology administrators, and families. And the family that you see there were a recipient of these computers as well. And so this event was really sort of talking about why this was important. And the wonderful thing about hosting this event is that we got community members to volunteer to provide tech support, for example. We had the students themselves start projects where they provided tech support for their families. And we also had other organizations partner with us. For example, the refurbishing process was not free. And so we had foundations, public and private partners actually fund the refurbishing process. As you can see, we have app software that was donated by Microsoft. And then we had printers that were donated by Lexmark. And so it was really not, we never wanted to claim it as a Connected Nation project. This was a community project. This was a community project coming together, talking about their participation in the ECS project you talked about, Wes, at the beginning, and also talking about how, this is part of them implementing projects that would help fill the gap for them.
Yeah, and Heather, I think these were like real big, exciting pep rally style events too, right? Where you were bringing the families in and celebrating this new opportunity. It's a really neat opportunity there. Heather, as technologies and needs evolved, how did the program change to meet those needs that we were seeing over that time?
Well, the more we did these No Child Left Off Learn projects that really got devices in the household, we started to pay attention to the organizations that serve children that were deeply in need of devices as well. We're talking about after-school programs, Boys and Girls Clubs, libraries, a lot of entities that are really part of the school system support system. And so this was when we also decided, in addition to refurbishing computers, to actually create partnerships that allowed us to purchase new devices that we could donate to these organizations. And what you're seeing on this picture is one of the projects that we did. I believe this was in Russell County. This was a library within the school system that we donated these devices that kids could use during the daytime. And the wonderful part of this project is that we partnered with the University of Louisville. And so these devices after hours were part of a grid, a network of researchers that was used for cancer research from across the world. And so we a central part of our work was really about creating partnerships and bringing in new ideas and implementing strategies that really also empowered community organizations, including schools, to have access to more devices.
Yeah, and Heather, as time went on, the need was clear elsewhere. So how did Connected Nation respond to that need?
So the great thing about the work that we did in Eastern Kentucky, we did studies. Great thing about the studies that we did showed some great results. And I can't remember exact data points, but it's in those counties, when we did surveys, we saw an increase in internet adoption and broadband use compared to similar counties in Appalachia. And so as our program grew, the interest nationally grew for these type of programs. And so we started to expand nationally, and that's when we became Connected Nation from being Connect Kentucky. And one of the first states that we went into to do additional work was Tennessee. Now, one thing that we always talked about is we never consider programs one size fits all. And so in Tennessee, No Child Left Offline evolved to Computers for Kids. And we partnered with the Department of Children's Services for their program. And what we were doing is we were providing devices to kids in the foster care system. And these were laptops. Again, I need to remind you, this was before smartphones and before Chromebooks. And so there were not a lot of options if you didn't have a laptop or a desktop. And so we were donating desktops to students in Tennessee in the foster care system. And these were juniors and seniors that were getting close to graduation, but these were students that were really exceeding expectations despite their challenges of moving from home to home. So the laptop allowed them to have a device that they could take with them. And this was one of our celebrations, and this was the governor of Tennessee from that time.
Yeah, that's great. Heather, we're all aware of the need for students to have devices. How has Connected Nation supported the families of those school-age children?
Yeah, one of the things that we, even during the time of No Child Left Offline, we also have always focused on training for the families. We understand that students have the benefit of going to school where they're exposed to digital skills and training and that sort of thing. But one of the biggest gap was with their parents at home. And so one thing that we started to do was to really focus on providing training for their parents. And so this picture that you're looking at is some training that we were doing for parents in Lexington, Kentucky. And interestingly, during this time, that's when students were starting to take devices home. And so a lot of parents were confronted with these foreign things coming into the household, not knowing what to do and how to manage having these devices. So we were really providing training for parents so they could get the basic digital skills, so they could become more comfortable with supporting their children when they brought devices home from school.
Yeah, and none of us are lost on the impact that COVID-19 has had on students and their abilities to complete their schoolwork. So generally staying connected, I guess. How was CN able to help during that trying time, or this trying time? We're still in it, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so as you know, COVID really amplified or highlighted some challenges for students when the lockdowns happened, and all of a sudden school systems and whole states and leaders were confronted with the challenge of making sure that children had access to devices and high-speed internet at home so they could participate in distance learning. And so a lot of people started creating new partnerships to address these challenges on the fly. And shamefully enough, this is something that we knew before and had not done enough to handle. And so we partnered with AT&T to provide 40,000 hotspots to organizations and school districts across the country. And these hotspots could be given to families with a 1 year free service so that they could have access to internet service. I think we have a little video to sort of highlight one of our favorite stories from that time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today there's a special guest we're waiting for.
He's so proud of all of the work that you have done. Who was that?
Ladies and gentlemen, Bam Adebayo!
We have a little surprise for you all. AT&T, the NBA, the Connected Nation have provided your organization devices and connectivity for the next school year.
And they're not done yet.
So yes, this was one of the schools or organizations that received devices as part of that program. And the work continues. We continue to engage with schools and school districts and families at home so that we can provide them support for advancing education for children.
Heather, that's great. And you know, there's no way to do justice to all the work that you have done and the organization's done, and just the need that exists around the kind of programming that we talked about today. So we certainly do appreciate your time and look forward to more opportunities to I guess highlight the work that we do. Now I want to turn some attention to, and I'm excited to share more about the ways that we're helping schools and students today. Today I want to introduce Emily Jordan. She is our Vice President of Educational Initiatives.
Thanks, Wes. And yeah, I had to grab a tissue there because every time we watch some of those kind of highlight reels and things about kids, as a former teacher, I just get like choked up. But it's so special to see kind of the history of what we're doing. And I can tell you a little bit more about what we are continuing to try and do to help support teachers and students and their families. So one project that we have since 2020, Connected Nation, in partnership with Funds for Learning, who are E-Rate consultants, we have provided Connect K-12 as a free resource for school districts and state leaders. So that website, connectk12.org, it uses E-Rate data and displays it in a way that shows school district internet speed and pricing information so that it's easy to understand and utilize. The whole site reports on the historical trends of bandwidth speeds and the cost of connectivity at the state and national levels. And it also provides current school district contract metrics that really is there to help leaders seek the best opportunities for their students when they're upgrading and looking at, is their school building network robust and reliable enough? So all of this state and school district data and the corresponding graphics is updated annually and presented on the site as downloadable and free in a PDF format, as well as an Excel spreadsheet where you can have all of the specs around the districts surrounding yourself or the whole state. And it's it's free, which we love to promote because it costs no one and it will cost no one anything for the time that we do this program. And it's just easy takeaways to bring into those conversations and just help our leaders really understand where our school buildings are at and how they can improve those. So now we have a little easy preview on how to best use the site, and we'll always take any questions about it as well.
Welcome to Connect K-12, a free online resource for viewing school district internet speed and pricing information. Here's the fastest way to find your school district info. This is our homepage, and you'll see a bar right in the center to type it in. You don't have to type in the whole word. It will populate as many options that will fit your name. Also, from any page, you can go to the top right where it reads School District, click, and type in the name of another school district. Once on this page, you'll see all the district-specific information at the top, as well as comparative data that's downloadable for other districts in your area. Welcome back to Connect K-12. Let's take a closer look at a state overview page. You can get there from our homepage by typing it right here or at the state section in the top. This page reports on trends and data for your bandwidth speeds and pricing over the past 5 years. The graph on the left reports on the percentage of school districts or percentage of students that are meeting the FCC long-term bandwidth goal of 1 megabit per second per student as compared to the national data. And you could also include another state for comparison. Some states have a quote from their governor committing to better broadband in their schools. And there's cost trends as well as E-rate funding trends at the bottom. This page is downloadable by clicking this button right here. It's pre-formatted for printing as a great takeaway for your conversations about your school broadband.
So Connected Nation, as you can see, is committed to ensuring that bandwidth is never a bottleneck for student learning, and we believe that digital learning should happen in every classroom every day. And a quick plug from one of the questions in the chat, we do update this site annually. So currently the site shows 2021 funding application information, and we are just about ready to release the 2022 info so that it's just in time to help with all of the upgrades and contract expirations in the coming spring. And we will see that in about mid-November. So if you don't already subscribe to our newsletter, please do, and you'll have all that in your inbox as soon as it goes live. But back to our topics, Connected Nation also values kind of the importance of involving these students in helping to close the digital divide. We have played a mentor role with students and their teachers throughout our time, and in April of this year, Connected Nation, sponsored by AT&T, hosted a Kids Tech Summit, which was an opportunity that challenged students to use their digital skills to develop a 100% student-led community project that would help them enhance their out-of-classroom digital learning experiences. So it's a really cool opportunity for them to be creative and be the experts in this space, because as we all know, children are the future, especially when it comes to figuring out how to use things on the internet. So we are actually really excited to be collaborating again with AT&T on a brand new program for teens, once again, to use their skills and support their communities. So I'm going to introduce Melissa Anderson, who's helping to lead this project, to tell you some more after another short video.
Thank you for the introduction, Emily. I appreciate it. And so I'm excited today to talk about Teens Teach Tech, powered by AT&T. The intention of the program is going to harness teens' technology expertise to help their families and other community members gain useful technology skills. The content is available in English and Spanish. It covers topics like computer basics, internet basics, email basics, cybersecurity, video conferencing, mobile phone basics. So a group of 2 or more high school age teens, along with an adult mentor or sponsor, will select 1 or more topics and develop creative delivery methods, identify members of their community that can benefit from learning those digital skills, and meet them where they are to teach the topics. So we envision clubs, community action groups, honor societies, and pretty much any group of high school teens will participate across the country. So we're looking for adult mentors and sponsors that are motivated to bring this project to your community. Registration is open now on connectednation.org/teensteachtech through February 2023, and the projects will be completed by the end of the current school year, 2022-2023 school year. So if you're interested in learning more, go to the website that I mentioned and complete the Contact Us form, and we will reach out to you. Our team will reach out. There's an incentive available with Teens Teach Tech. For every one person trained, the group will be awarded $10 with a maximum incentive up to $2,000. So this is a great way for a group to raise funds while providing a much needed service for their community members and gaining important organizational and project management skills. And of course, it also looks great on a college application. So we have a history of partnership with AT&T, and they are also committed to closing the digital divide. I'm going to pass it over to Heather Huddleston to share another free resource available to keep kids engaged and connected at home as well.
Thank you, Melissa. Yes, I'm excited to talk about the Achievery. The Achievery is a free online digital learning platform created by AT&T, and it was designed to make distance learning more engaging, entertaining, and inspiring for K-12 students in a world of lots of options for digital learning, which we all learned about during COVID. The Achievery really stands out. AT&T collaborated with Warner Media to connect students to a new world of digital learning through stories that spark curiosity and learning content that entertains as well as teaches. It includes lots of characters kids are very familiar with. The platform features clips from some of the most popular, well-loved films, TV shows, and animated series from Warner Media. And they're paired with lessons and learning activities that students can engage with wherever they learn, at home or in the community, in the classroom, in the car. Some examples include Wonder Woman film clips paired with lessons teaching reading and writing skills, Aquaman paired with lessons teaching responsible decision-making, or Craig of the Creek animated clips paired with lessons teaching social awareness and language skills. Through these high quality, exciting learning content, the Achievery makes digital learning more engaging and effective for students and encourages more families to get connected as we work to bridge the digital divide, which is really what we're all about here at Connected Nation and why we're proud to partner with AT&T on the Achievery. Let's take a look at it.
There's a place where learning is entertaining, engaging, and inspiring. Introducing the Achievery, where education is powered by entertainment and students are empowered to achieve. Created by AT&T in collaboration with Warner Brothers Discovery, the Achievery connects students to a new world of digital learning, igniting their imagination and inspiring their creativity. Through stories that spark curiosity, characters that kids know and love, and lessons that entertain as well as teach, the Achievery makes distance learning an epic adventure. Designed with leading education experts, the Achievery engages students in a better learning experience wherever they are, at home, in the community, or in the classroom. Lesson plans are aligned with today's academic standards, easy to use, totally free. Sign up today. Visit theachievery.com to explore a whole new universe of digital learning.
Well, thank you all for presenting all of these neat programs, the different ways that we're engaged today. This has been it's been a good time, a lot of neat information, important information has been supplied to us. Would love to, I don't think we have any questions at the moment, but certainly want to entertain those. We've got some time here to do so. So please submit those. At the moment, certainly would ask that our participants today, if there's, I guess, question number one back to Emily. I know that you had answered a question there about the amount of, or if new data had been supplied. I guess one question is, thoughts and ideas about how to best leverage that for, particularly if it's, for community members, how they can leverage that data best, maybe.
Sure. No, that's a great question. And I think that that's our ultimate goal with this initiative of Connect K-12. We want to make sure that people are using this data and it's empowering people to be advocates. So, if you're a teacher or a parent and you see this, I mean, the people that are going to make the decisions are your school district leaders. So you're usually the, CTO or the ed tech director, or even the superintendent of your district will want to know that this resource is out there. And we do our very best to get it in front of those people without your help, but we would always appreciate, anyone who's in the community and has a student that's in a school, a public school district, this is important information to see. And as we know from, the pandemic, which where I'm a, broken record here, but everybody had to figure out a way to do their learning in a distance format, right? So we all had all these devices that were deployed and all of these different online platforms that we just detailed as well that are available to help improve students, educational kind of experience. And the learner experience now is not just in the classroom in seats, but all of those devices came back to your schools. They all came back and they're not going away. And all your teachers have all these beautiful ways now to integrate and involve students and meet them at their different levels with technology, because that is ultimately how our world is and will continue to be. And so your school district networks have to keep up with that. They have to know, they have to be able to be robust and reliable. And the data shows that can be affordable still. And I think that's the biggest tool that I try and bring to people is say, like, you've got a school district 20 miles away with the same provider that says that's paying $1,000 less a month for just as much bandwidth, right? And it's kind of, we're here to support the communities, right? And we want to empower you all so that there's not monopolies and ways that you feel, trapped in a certain bandwidth, because that's just unacceptable now in this day of our culture and society. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Emily, I spend some of my time working with communities, and it never ceases to amaze me when I go to the CK12 site and I'm looking at a particular, like one community somewhere, and see the disparities or the differences between, literally the next county over, or, the surrounding counties sometimes. It really is surprising. And so I think it's an amazing tool, a great tool for communities to gather and understand what's really happening locally, and at least generates the conversation about what can or should be done to maybe level the playing field from one community to the next. Ultimately just providing a more equitable type of service in those communities. So
and really, Wes, just to your point that our school district leaders and teachers are so busy and they've got so many things to manage, and there's all of these available funds and there's all of these different investments into the infrastructure and whatever going outside of just school districts, right? But this tool hopefully is a way that you don't have to go walking down the street and talk to your neighbor, right? Like this is public data. It's all based on E-rate funding applications, which is publicly shared and posted online, but it's just not that easy to access. And so our goal is to just make it so that we save you some time, we save you a headache, and you can just take this and be like, you know what? Yeah, we could get a better deal and our students would be better equipped for their futures. So
yeah. That's great. I want to ask, and I think I'll point this at Heather, and then certainly anybody else that wants, Heather Gate, and anybody that wants to respond, certainly feel free. But what would you say makes a successful program as it relates to education and technology?
I think one of the first things that you have to be upfront about is you don't have all the answers. So being honest, we never walk in acting like we know better than you do. So, we don't have all the answers. Second thing is listening to the communities, and then responding to what you hear. And then the next thing is collaboration. The idea of bridging the digital divide doesn't have one entity or organization who can fix it. We all have a role to play. The school districts have a role to play. And sometimes we've sort of relied on the school district to fix the issue in the home, right? But that's where partnerships come in. partnerships with internet service providers, partnerships with local nonprofits, community organization, churches, places of worship have started to really play a significant role in helping in these matters. So successful programs really entail collaboration. It entails working with everybody. And in our history, as I mentioned at the beginning, we've worked with Kentucky Correction Industries, right, to refurbish computers. We've worked with internet service providers. We've worked with foundations. We've worked with community centers. The size of organizations really vary. And it's very deliberate on our part because we want everybody to really realize that the school districts can't do this by themselves. They need support from different entities. Even with federal and state funding, it really takes a village to create successful programs.
Yeah, you know, Heather, that's an interesting point because I think with the pandemic or coming through the pandemic, school districts all of a sudden were responsible for so many things that they had never been responsible for, or felt responsible for things that they had never been responsible for. Feeding communities often became a role and responsibility that those schools took on. But I've heard so many school districts talk about they never intended to be an ISP or an internet service provider. And so they oftentimes took that role on because they realized that students just didn't have the connectivity that was necessary to be able to do their schoolwork and really to interact and connect again. And then, so many then were looking at, how can we provide service? How can we partner to ensure services are available? And so it's listening and being proactive in having those conversations, right? So that you can formulate a program that fits the specific needs of the group or the community that you're trying to reach to, and not just assume that all the answers are already available, I think is so important. So
exactly. Yeah, and we had the stories of the way school districts had to be creative, putting hotspots in buses, parking school buses in neighborhoods. And so then not only were they serving the students, they were serving the community. And so, like I said, everybody has a role to play so that we can all really just we want the schools to focus on student achievement and students and teaching, and not have to be the teacher, the IT and everything else that we expect from them.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I'm gonna turn over and ask a question, I think, to Melissa. Melissa, is the Teens Teach Tech program flexible to use with existing school extracurricular programs or clubs, so on and so forth?
Absolutely. So that's one of the biggest benefits of this program is the amount of flexibility that our participants will have. So we're hoping to see new things. We're not trying to pigeonhole anybody into using materials or anything like that that's already been done. We believe strongly that these teens can come up with really creative solutions and build relationships in their community. And for sure, if there's an existing group of teens, a club that's trying to raise some funds and also spread some good information in their community, do a community service project, for example, that would absolutely be a great way to incorporate Teens Teach Tech in your community. But you can also pull a group together. Maybe there's somebody in the community that already works with teenagers and they can bring kids together from multiple schools that are nearby to one another. It's a great opportunity for them to meet new people, get new ideas, brainstorm, and even potentially impact people all over their city or their county or whatever it is that they're connecting with. So definitely you can have an existing group and you can also create a group around this program. The flexibility is amazing. And we really want everybody to just dream and be creative. That's kind of like the ultimate push from us is be inspired. Figure out who is being left behind or what digital skills are missed in your community and what can you do to make an impact.
Can you tell Melissa is also like a teacher trainer? She's got that like ready to go. I just wanted to add to her beautiful statement that really this program is about empowerment and striking that curiosity and creativity in students again, because they've been probably just as burdened and irritated by having to do so many Zoom calls and things as we are. And so, we want them to enjoy it and use some of the platforms that they think are fun on their phones or on their computers, and help the adults around them, feel empowered and like they know what they're doing too, because that's often a fun joke to play and play off of.
Yeah, I think that's one of the fun things about this is that, our teens are the ones often teaching technology regardless. And so just leveraging that and giving them the tools and the opportunity is such a neat program and opportunity for them. So Heather Huddleston, I'm going to ask, with Achievery, are there upcharges once you sign up, or does it cost to sign up? Just curious, kind of the structure there.
No, I'm happy to answer that, and happy to report that no, there aren't any upcharges. That's one of the great things about our partnership with AT&T. They've created this as a free, as a totally free learning platform. And, I tested it out on 3 of my kids, three of my teenage sons to sort of get their authentic take. And well, it was my 20-year-old, my 15-year-old, and my 13-year-old, and they all signed up, and they all gravitated toward, there's a Lego Batman movie component that they, were genuinely interested in, not just being nice to mom. And so I think that's one of the things I'm so excited about with this. There was nothing that they were being sold. They couldn't, buy extra coins or anything to play a game. And it was learning content, and they wanted to look at it because it was stuff they were familiar with. And, I also noted that you could search by type of program that you are trying to learn about, or you could search by like the character. And so, teachers could just incorporate it into a lesson plan. They could just show it as a clip to introduce something that they're teaching, or it could just be supplemental for kids at home or in the car or whatever. So I think it's just a really cool tool. It's an added piece of digital learning content that, we're excited to partner with. So no, it's free, nothing added.
Heather, that's great, and it's fun to hear that your teenage sons have even found like something that they were really interested in, because unfortunately as adults and certainly as people that work on this all the time, sometimes we think we've really hit the nail on the head, and then all of a sudden somebody says, oh, the kids tell us, man, probably not, that was last year, or whatever. And so it's neat to see that. It's neat to see that they were engaged and enjoyed that, and the program does it meets the needs of younger children all the way up, like you said, through teenagers. So that's it is very neat to see how that applies.
That's right. Yep, K through 12, and I guess evidently also 20-year-olds.
There you go. There you go.
Yep, a wide range of content.
All right. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, I do believe we will we'll give a few minutes back to all of our participants. We do appreciate everybody that's joined us today. Certainly, if you have questions, feel free to reach out back out to me. I'll be happy to try to get answers, either respond to your question or get it to the right individual, and we'll get it out to them. We're excited to share all of these different opportunities with you. We thank you for hanging around and listening to us today. We believe that it takes a village. I think that's a word. That's something I've heard quite a bit over the past 2 or 3 years in particular. And so whether you're a teacher, work for a school district, a parent, community leader, everyone has a role to play in helping to close the digital divide. So with that, I want to thank you for joining us. We hope to see you at our next workshop. which will be in probably early December. We'll be sending out some additional information. And as I said, the recording of this event will send around likely the first part of next week. We hope that everyone has a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon.